Welcome to MacStories Unwind, a weekly review of everything MacStories and more. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico, happy Friday.
Hello, thank you. I'm back. Thank you, Alex, for covering for me. I've been so busy, unfortunately, that those episodes are still in my queue in Castro. I'm behind on everything, John. Podcasts, music, TV shows.
I know.
Video games. Like, what am I supposed to do here? My sofa library is exploding with stuff. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, you should feel sorry for me because I have a new PS5 sitting on the shelf and I haven't really played it yet because we're busy and it just showed up yesterday. But I'll tell you, Federico, I have a very special way for you to listen to those episodes of Unwind. And that's how I accidentally started listening the other day, which is I got in my car, plugged in my phone into CarPlay, hit play, and there was Alex. He was talking, but there was my voice wasn't there because I had inadvertently imported Alex's track into the music app when we recorded last week. And so I had just Alex talking to himself in my car when I got in my car with my family to go down to Chicago last Sunday. So that was pretty funny. I've since deleted Alex.
Well, okay, that's good information to have. When I saw we have a single line in this document that we keep for show notes, and it says occupational hazard, Alex in John's car.
I figured you'd like that.
Which I honestly, I don't know. I kind of pictured like Alex in the trunk of your car or something.
I think I managed to double click on the track instead of just. You know what I mean? Which automatically dropped it into music instead of dragging it into Logic. So I do that. I've done that once in a while. I'm clumsy that way. And Alex, I didn't realize I had done it. And then Alex was there in my car with me, but only in spirit. He's actually working hard in his apartment in Minneapolis right now, getting ready for everything coming out next week.
That's correct. All right. Well, I am glad you figured out what was going on.
All right, Federico, why don't we dive into the stories? It's a short list this week because I think you and I have been occupied with some other things this week. But, right off the top, I think we should mention that we introduced AppStories Plus. And AppStories Plus is our subscriber version of the AppStories podcast. That is an extended version that's ad-free, delivered early, and at a higher bit rate. And we've got that as a standalone option coming Monday, as well as part of a broader announcement that we're going to make on Monday as well. So check that out. I mean, we've got all the details there explaining why we're doing it. We wanted to kind of get this one out first before we do all of our big announcements on Monday, because we're announcing a lot and we didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle. We wanted to make sure people knew about it and could get excited about something in advance of Monday. So that's there, and you'll hear more about AppStories and all of the various options and things that we're going to offer when we announce it Monday at some point in the, early day on Monday U.S. time. I don't want to give away too much. I know you like your surprises, Federico, so I'll leave it at that.
I do. I really do. Yeah, this is exciting. It's the best version of AppStories we've ever produced. It's longer. It comes with extra content. It sounds better. It's free of interruptions because it's ad-free, and it comes out a day early. So I think it's going to be really fun for all kinds of listeners. We have listeners all over the world, and not necessarily you live in a time zone where AppStories comes out Monday morning and it's ready for your commute, because maybe you listen from Japan, maybe you listen from China, maybe you listen from Australia or New Zealand, right? And so the early release a day before ensures that all kinds of listeners will be able to start off their Monday morning, wherever they are, with AppStories ready in their podcast queues, which I think is a pretty big, it's a pretty big feature, and it's pretty awesome that you will be able to get it on Sunday US time. So I'm really keen to start putting out AppStories Plus and to release AppStories Plus on Monday. We've been recording the show in secret for the past 3 months. And so we have a back catalog of, I believe, 20 episodes ready to go. So you can subscribe to AppStories Plus, and you can listen to the episode that we'll put out on Monday to celebrate the launch. But you also have 20 more in the back catalog. And then, of course, there's the full library of regular AppStories stretching back to 2017. But yes, you will have 3 months of AppStories Plus content ready to go on launch day.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. And even though I get up at a pretty early hour on Mondays to publish that episode every single Monday, it's already midday in Europe and even later in other parts of the world. So it'll be fun getting it out on Sundays for everybody. All right, Federico, let's move on to a review that I did at the beginning of the week, which is Mela, which is a recipe and cooking app by Silvio Rizzi, who's the developer behind Reader, the RSS client. And this is an amazing app. I don't think I've used a 1.0 this year that's as good as this app, because the design is, as you would expect if you're a Reader user, superb. It does some things that I don't think any other recipe app does, such as it allows you to subscribe to RSS feeds for recipe sites, and then you can kind of browse through those and add them to your collection if you want. And it has this amazing focus mode, is what I call it, that allows you to tap a cook button, and then if you're on an iPad, for instance, it has the instructions on the left that are focused one at a time on each step, and the ingredients on the right in nice big typeface. So, even if you're kind of standing back working on a stove or something, you can actually read it from a distance. It's really well done. And I think the design is super well thought out for all the platforms it's on, because it's on iPhone, iPad, and Mac. And on every single one of those platforms, it's a little different. And it's really tailored to the screen size. Even on the iPad, you get a slightly different layout if you're on, say, an iPad Air or a 12.9-inch iPad Pro. So fantastic app that I highly recommend people check out. It's $5 on the iPhone and iPad and $10 on the Mac.
Yeah, it looks really beautiful. I mean, that doesn't come as a surprise, considering that it's made by Silvio Rizzi, the maker of Reader, which is, this is like the perfect companion to Reader. And it takes everything that I love about Reader and it sort of makes it work for a different category of app, which I think is super interesting. And it's good to see Silvio sort of branch out into something else after all these years of developing just Reader. It's great to see Silvio do something else, which, I can appreciate trying to diversify the portfolio of apps that a developer has.
Yes, definitely. All right, Federico, let's talk a little bit about Club MacStories. You had a little bit of a teaser, I guess, at the beginning of the issue this week, teasing all of the things that we're going to be announcing on Monday. And you've shared the graphic on Twitter as well, so I think people are starting to get an inkling what it might all be about. But stay tuned. We'll have more to talk about on Monday.
I've been teasing a lot, and I saw a tweet by Dr. Drang that I thought was funny. Something, what was it? Let me find it again. Dr. Drang tweeted, "I have a sixth sense about these things, and I'm picking up a very subtle vibe that MacStories is about to unveil some changes," which I thought that's a very useful tweet. Thank you, Doctor. But yeah, we're gonna have a big drop of announcements on Monday, August 23rd. So I know we've been saying this a lot. Stay tuned, because we've been working on this for such a long time, and it's been such a massive team effort, and I'm super proud of everything that we've accomplished. All the things that you will see on Monday, they were just ideas. They were ideas for a long time. And unless we, I don't want to spoil too much, but unless we took things down a certain path, they wouldn't have been possible. So I am really excited to show it all off on Monday. And next week, we're going to have a series of articles to explain all the things that we are doing. It's going to be super fun. And we're just, counting down the days at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And that path that we chose was not the easy path by any stretch of the imagination, but it was the right path. And I think it's the path that will lead to long-term sustainability for everything we're doing. Also this week, I recommended the OtterBox mobile gaming clip for MagSafe. This is a really neat little device that allows you to clip your iPhone to an Xbox controller using a MagSafe compatible pad. And I've been using it for about a week and a half, and I haven't had to spend a ton of time with it, but it's just what's nice about it is how elegant and simple it is. So I talk a little bit about that and how I'm using it, as well as talking a little bit. I did a separate column about the night before a big launch, since that's kind of where we're at as we record this today. We're just about on the cusp of announcing a bunch of things. Provide a few of my thoughts about what that's all about and what it's like. So check that out. What else, Federico? What else do we do this week?
We covered a bunch of app debuts on MacStories Weekly. There's one that I thought was really interesting, the version 6.2 of Tweetbot by Tapbots. And I think it's interesting because we're seeing Tapbots, they haven't exactly been great at this in the past, and I think they're doing much better now. We're seeing Tweetbot add support for all kinds of modern iOS and iPadOS features. So in version 6.2 of Tweetbot, you will find support for multi-window on iPad, which lets you open multiple Tweetbot windows on your iPad, which can be useful to keep an eye on different accounts or keep an eye on multiple views. Also support for timeline widgets, so you can pin any timeline in Tweetbot's terminology. This means any list, right, or any saved search. Everything can be a timeline, and you can pin that to your home screen on iPhone and iPad using widgets of multiple sizes. And also, Tweetbot now has native shortcuts actions. So you can post tweets, you can open twitter.com URLs into Tweetbot, you can open profiles, you can do a bunch of things using native shortcuts actions in Tweetbot. So that's really cool, and I appreciate how Tweetbot version 6 is still labeled, I believe, as early access. It's the new version of Tweetbot that requires a subscription and uses the new Twitter sort of V2 API. And I think it's good to see that despite the fact that so many people are using the official Twitter app now because it comes with more features, including myself, I think we could all use still the third-party options as well.
Yeah, no, that's really great to see that app get that update. We had a great topic, I think, this week on AppStories, which was sideloading apps and games. And we focused a lot on AltStore and the Delta emulator, which is a Nintendo game emulator that's available to be sideloaded. And I know you've been doing some retro gaming, so have I. It's part of the reason I got the OtterBox console clip for my Xbox controller. And we go into a little depth about what that's all about, what it's like trying to set up, and what kind of things you can do if you sideload apps. All right, Federico, why don't we talk a little bit about Apple Arcade, because there's a little bit less this week that was announced, but Tetris Beat is out, and this is a game that I've not.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
I haven't played this, but I'm interested in giving it a shot and seeing what it's like. It might be a good one to try on the iPhone. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to check that out. It's out today. And then coming soon is a variant of Temple Run. Temple Run is, boy, that's a real throwback to, I think, like 2011 or something. But this is Temple Run Puzzle Adventure, which has a match 3 component built into it. So interesting take on that game. I'm interested to see exactly to what degree the original game is baked into it, but we'll have to see. That's out soon. Apple hasn't said exactly when. Okay, Federico, before we wrap it up for this week, why don't we talk about our picks for the weekend? What have you got for me?
All right, so my pick for the weekend is, and honestly, it's a terrible pick for a bad TV show, but it's one of those bad TV shows that it's so bad, it's actually good. So the TV show, I think I've mentioned this before, it's Dynasty. And specifically, my pick is Dynasty Season 4. So Dynasty is the modern remake, sort of like the modern reboot of an old, I would say it's like a soap opera, like a daytime, TV kind of show from the 80s. So this is the new version for the modern day audience of Dynasty. And Dynasty tells the story of this rich white family called the Carringtons, and how there's the sort of the head of the family, which is Blake Carrington, who's the father and sort of owns this multi-million, this giant corporation, and all of the intrigue and mystique of this family and all the relationships and the drama. It's honestly, it's a very bad TV show. It's silly. And so many events of the show that so many of the things that happen on the show are honestly kind of surreal and inexplicable sometimes. Season 4 is actually, I would say, probably the best one of all the seasons yet. At the very least, it's the season where I would say it's the most reasonable one. Like all the events that happen on season 4 are kind of like, okay, I could see that actually happen as a real thing. It's a very cheesy, very silly, very I don't know how to describe it. It's a very bad TV show, but it's so bad it's actually good. And Sylvia and I, we love it. We love it because like it honestly makes us laugh. Like you see these rich people fighting these silly wars and having, it's one of those shows where like the same person gets married like 10 different times to 10 different people. And sometimes they get remarried to the same person. If you've ever seen any daytime a TV show in the US, I'm thinking things like, what's it called? Bold and the Beautiful or General Hospital, that kind of stuff that airs on CBS. This is basically a version of that, right? It's that kind of TV show, which for me, it's like comfort food, right? It lets me turn off my brain and watch a stupid show for like 40 minutes. I love it. You can watch, I believe, the first 3 seasons on Netflix. And the 4th one, I'm just buying the old-fashioned way on iTunes.
Oh, all right. Yeah, you won't be surprised that I think Jennifer has watched this as well.
Oh yeah. Because Jennifer and I, we should start a TV show podcast like a TV podcast together. Yeah,
you really should. She's very opinionated too. She'd make a good podcast host if we could ever coax her into doing that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I will mention this to her the next time I see you guys in the States. I will mention this.
That sounds like a perfect idea. All right. So my pick. I haven't had a lot of time for extra activities lately for the obvious reasons, but this morning, as I sat down to put together the newsletter, I listened to Solar Power by Lorde, which is, I think I recommended Solar Power, this single, several weeks ago when it first came out, because it's a fantastic song. I listened to the rest of this album this morning. I've only listened to it through it once, but it really grabbed me. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of, I don't know. It's I've never been a Lorde fan, actually. And this album, for some reason, it's just different. I like the theme. I like kind of a lot of it has a vibe to it that's very much like that Solar Power single, if you've tried that before. But I would definitely recommend taking a look at it. I'll put a link in the show notes as well as to a review that was done on the 45, which is a website that does album reviews, because I'm at a little loss of words to describe it, only because I've only listened through it once. But I think it's definitely worth your time and check it out. All right, Federico, I think that's it. This is our last podcast that we're going to release before everything happens on Monday. So, hold on, folks. We're gonna finally do this thing on Monday. You'll be able to find us on MacStories next week. It's been a little quiet around the site the last couple of weeks as we all have been busy preparing things, but it's going to get real busy real fast next week. You can find Federico and me there, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHN VOORHWS. Talk to you next Friday, Federico.
Ciao, John.